Shock and joy, global royals celebrate Princess Leonor's wedding. No fluff, no timestamps, no transitions, just clean, flowing narration, exactly as you requested. Madrid awoke to history. The streets were alive before sunrise. Flags draped from balconies, cameras flashed, and across Spain, millions tuned in. This was not just another royal event. It was the moment the world had been waiting for. Princess Leonor, future Queen of Spain, was about to marry, and every royal house across Europe, and beyond, had sent their best to witness it. What happened next left the world stunned, and deeply moved. The first shock came as the royal motorcade left Zarzuela Palace. The crowd roared when Leonor appeared, radiant, waving softly from the car window. She was dressed in a gown that blended modern Spanish elegance with subtle nods to centuries of tradition. The look was simple yet commanding, signaling that she was not just a bride, but the next monarch. When she arrived at Almudena Cathedral, the bells rang loud enough to be heard across Madrid. Cameras captured the moment she stepped out of the car, smiling, calm, every movement deliberate. The cathedral steps were lined with guards in full ceremonial dress, their swords gleaming under the morning sun. And then came the first moment that stunned the world. Queen Margrethe II of Denmark herself stepped forward, greeting Leonor warmly at the door, a gesture of friendship between two royal houses that have been quietly linked for decades. Inside, the cathedral was a sea of royal faces. King Charles III and Queen Camilla sat near the front, speaking quietly with King Harald and Queen Sonja of Norway. Crown Prince Frederik and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark smiled proudly from their pew, their son Prince Christian standing tall in formal uniform. From Belgium to Sweden, from Japan to Jordan, the great royal families of the world had gathered, not just to witness a wedding, but to celebrate the rise of a new generation of monarchy. When the music began and Leonor started her walk down the aisle, time seemed to slow. Her father, King Felipe VI, walked proudly beside her, his military uniform gleaming. Queen Letizia wiped away a tear, her face a mix of pride and emotion. The entire cathedral rose in silence, as if holding its collective breath. The groom waited at the altar, his face lighting up when Leonor approached. This was the moment when the private and public worlds collided. A love story that had been shielded from public view was now playing out in front of kings, queens, presidents, and millions watching at home. And then, another shock. When Leonor reached the altar, she gently squeezed her father's hand, then took the final step alone. It was a quiet but powerful statement. She would marry as Spain's future queen, in her own right. The vows were deeply personal, blending the traditional words of the Catholic ceremony with a few lines the couple had written themselves. When they exchanged rings, a cheer broke out in the plaza outside, where thousands had gathered to watch on massive screens. After the "I do," the cathedral erupted in applause. Trumpets sounded, cannons fired a 21-gun salute, and Spain knew it had just witnessed something historic. The procession through Madrid that followed was breathtaking. Leonor and her husband stood in an open carriage, waving to the enormous crowds that lined the route back to the palace. Children threw flower petals, bands played royal marches, and the atmosphere felt like a coronation. And then came the global moment that no one expected. As the couple reached the palace, they were joined on the balcony not just by the Spanish royal family, but by royals from across Europe. King Charles stood next to Felipe VI. Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden smiled at the crowd, and the young royals of Denmark, Norway, and Belgium waved together. It was a display of unity not seen in decades, a symbolic gesture that said Europe's monarchies stand together as Leonor prepares to lead Spain into a new era. But perhaps the most emotional moment came when Leonor stepped forward alone, looking over the crowd. She raised her hand, not just in a wave, but as if to promise something, to dedicate herself fully to her people. The square erupted with cheers that echoed through the city. It was as if Spain had just met its future queen for the first time. The evening reception was nothing short of spectacular. Inside the royal palace, hundreds of guests sat under glittering chandeliers as Spain's finest chefs served a banquet that celebrated every region of the country. The speeches were heartfelt. King Felipe spoke with pride about his daughter's journey, calling her not only a daughter but a leader who would carry Spain's values into the future. Queen Letizia's words brought the room to tears as she described Leonor's strength, her courage, and her compassion. Other royals toasted as well, Crown Princess Mary of Denmark praised Leonor for her discipline during military training, saying she had earned the respect of all of Europe. King Philippe of Belgium spoke about the importance of young royals standing together to defend democracy and tradition. Each speech deepened the sense that this was more than a wedding, it was a historic summit of royalty, united in hope for the future. When the first dance began, Leonor and her husband moved gracefully across the floor, the room erupting in applause. Cameras captured smiles, laughter, and tears. The dance floor soon filled with royals. Prince Christian was spotted chatting with Infanta Sofia, while Princess Ingrid Alexandra of Norway joined other young royals in a rare display of relaxed joy. As night fell, fireworks lit the sky over Madrid, casting red and gold reflections across the palace walls. The celebrations spilled into the streets, where ordinary Spaniards danced and sang, proud to witness a moment that would be remembered for generations. In the days that followed, newspapers across the globe carried the same headline: "A future queen steps into history." Analysts marveled at how seamlessly the Spanish royal family had balanced tradition with modernity, creating a ceremony that spoke to young people while honoring centuries of monarchy. But for many, what mattered most was the feeling that Spain, so often divided, was united for one perfect day. That love, duty, and destiny could exist side by side. That Princess Leonor, once a shy girl giving her first speech at 13, was now a woman, a bride, and soon, a queen. And as the palace released the first official portraits, Leonor in her gown, standing with her new husband, her family beside her, the world collectively sighed. The future was here, and it was brighter than anyone had imagined. This was not just a royal wedding. It was a turning point. A statement to the world that monarchy can still inspire, still move, still unite. And for those who watched, it was a reminder that even in a modern age, there is still power in tradition, still magic in ceremony, still beauty in love. And so the world waits for what comes next: the first state visit as a married couple, the first Christmas address, the first signs of what Leonor's reign will look like. But whatever comes, one thing is certain: the shock, the joy, and the hope of this wedding day will